Spy X Family. Wow. So this is the second. I'm just gonna be frank. This is the second time we started recording this, so I'm just gonna quickly say what I said in the minute-long recording of the last one. I like what they did with this character. I expected him to be kind of like, I expected the shock moment of like, oh, actually, he's chill, because that's usually what you do with characters like this. But I think it was done really well because at first it's like, no, it's fine, and it seems like he's a really chill dude, but then it's kind of like throughout the chapter you realize, no, it's just because he does not give a fuck about his kid. So yeah, now you're caught up.
Yeah, so I'm a little torn here. So I was vocalizing this in our Discord server. Um, that I wish I would have done a little bit more. Like, I wish I would have got a little bit more motivation for Mr. Desmond. Uh, the dickhead, the connoisseur of this series, the whole plot of this series. I'm over here like, you've been building this character up. He's a leader of this other party, and I'm so used to talking to that mic. I keep vocalizing towards above my monitor, but I forgot I'm using my couch mic.
Whichever
Uh,
mic you want to use.
but like,
Put them both on and then put one to each side of your head so it's stereo.
no, that's too much work. No, but like, I'm sure we'll get more from him down the road. It seems like they've kind of hit it off in a sort of way, which obviously was the entire goal. But I want to know more about the house life, what goes on here between them, because, like you said, like the only way to write this character was to make him kind of a dick.
Right,
But
like you kind of have to find this weird middle ground of like he can't be exactly what you expect, but he also can't be in just a 180 for 180's sake.
exactly, so they kind of written themselves into a corner in a way.
Yeah,
So
sometimes too much buildup can be a bad thing.
exactly. So I'm curious how it will play off from here because he is definitely an interesting character. I will say that. But what I'm not a fan of this like immediate like, and now I fucked off.
Well, I think we have to remember is this series has a very slow pace, and that's not
hmm
necessarily a bad thing because it's focusing on its slice of life elements.
Yeah, it definitely is, and that's a good thing because like slice of life is like something I absolutely love, but slice of life done too slow kind of becomes a drag. You got to, and
There's a
it being a
fine balance
bi-weekly,
for sure. Like
yeah,
I think
and
Comey is a good example of this. I love that series, but Jesus Christ, it's taken like 300 chapters for them to like almost maybe kiss or something.
yeah, like so the issue to me is one it being bi-weekly and two it not even really being bi-weekly. So, so I
If you're
really
lucky, you get a chapter a month.
yeah,
No, wait, no.
so
More accurately, if you're lucky, you get 2 chapters a month.
exactly right. So like I really hope that moving forward, now that the author has kind of done what he wants to do, and because the whole reason was like I wasn't happy with this chapter, so here's a picture. So now it seems like now that they're
I mean, his
semi
art
kind of
definitely slaps this week, to be fair.
so now they're kind of sort of happy. I hope that we continue moving the plot along because my God, I can only take so much of that, and that's why I like Mission Yosakura Family as like a counter to this. Like, it's consistent every week that there's a fucking magazine, and I praise the community here for recommending it, and Luke for constantly pounding in my head, read this, and Weird Bros, read this. So like, I'm glad that we got that to balance off of. And I'd really like to cover both of them and just be like a compare and contrast of what works for each series. Because when this series does slice of life, it does it well. When it does action, it does it semi well. When it does plot, it usually nails it. This inconsistency kind of hampers a series that's already like a slow burn.
Yeah, no, I didn't have any issue with it. And maybe this comes from me being used to reading slow burn things. It's just, to me, this is just step of like 900 steps of
Oh yeah,
slowly building a character.
absolutely. And the more I see this character, the more I'll probably fall in love with it. Because so far, I there's not a character I really don't like in the series, and that's a good sign of a good series, in my opinion.
Hmm.
But what I really, really wish I would have gotten was like a little bit more of that motivation. That would have been enough to satisfy me
For
here.
sure. Yeah, I mean, maybe like a little taste would have been good. I agree. But like, yeah, what we're mainly focusing on here is just the weird dynamic with this kid. And I think my favorite part, what really I think made him stand out compared to like everything in this chapter, was this long sigh when his kids started talking, and he just keeps sighing until he stops talking. So he's like, so that's like the strategy he's got. Just like the kid's like, but Dad, and he just keeps going until he's finally like, never mind, I'm sorry. Oh, good. That sigh is now over.
He just did not give a single fucking shit. And he's
so
kind
nice
of a dick.
Lloyd, and he's just like, oh, my child is speaking. And it's so sad, dude, because like Desmond even gets like happy towards the end, but like he didn't, for no reason. I mean, like, he didn't say anything good. All he said was like, yes, don't be a disgrace to my name. Continue. I only came here because I felt like it on a whim. All right, bye.
Yeah, the crotch goblin is done talking. Oh, thank the heavens.
So glad that I got over that fucking women phase that I had and turned on and went over to fascism.
Well, we really don't know what type of.
I know. I gotta assume, right? Like, if you're a warmonger.
I mean, we really don't know a whole lot about these countries. Like, they both seem to be equally shit in their own right.
Right.
So I'd definitely like to learn a little bit more about the politics of this world too.
I mean, I get the vibe that this guy, he's one of those, like, full Kool-Aid drinker, like, our country is better than that other country. We have to bring them some democracy, you know, like, it's a very, like, that other country has a different set of morals, and that makes me upset, and I'm going to go and fuck that shit up. Because even, too, like, you can see, one of the things that gives me kind of a little bit of a hint to the type of party the National Unity Party is, that's what it's called, right? Yeah. Lloyd, in his like cover story, he's trying to kind of convey to him that, like, oh yes, you know, I'm interested in your party now. In even to be like semi convincing, he says, he has a line where he says, at first I was a little hesitant about your party. I'm trying to find that line here.
Yeah, I do recall
that line is interesting to me, because essentially what that means to me is that his party's beliefs are so radical and so out there that, like, it wouldn't be, because otherwise why wouldn't he just be like, yes, I totally agree with what your party stands for. The fact that he feels the need to like clarify with like well, slowly I've been moving to it because this that, it makes me realize that, at least to me, I'm picking up on this maybe notion that they're pretty radical in their beliefs, and I would love a chapter, and I agree with you here, David, maybe going into like what their party stands for.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would totally be poggers if we got a fucking chapter full of politics. Because then Red could go on a 90-minute rant about
is that what you want? Because that's what you were bitching about.
Oh, I'd love to see the comments and the viewer retention of like a Red deep dives into politics chapter.
No, the second you said poggers, it fucking just... Don't you know, Poggers had its 2 weeks of fame on the internet, and now it's dead.
But Red, I'm the little Pog champ.
David, come here. You're my little Pog champ.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's what I should have said after our little mini argument off camera. Okay, I guess you are my little Pog champ.
I don't know how I would have...
When you were... How do you react to that when you're angry?
I don't know how I would have reacted to that, and that's kind of concerning.
That's moving on. I don't know. I guess what I'll say, David, is you can't have both. You can't have both Kawaii Desune children and, you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I guess you can, but like I don't know. Like I wasn't upset with this chapter at all. I just think it's mostly. I think what you're having the problem with is that you're succumbing to that reading it weekly now thing. Like when you're binging, I see you do this with a lot of series, and I've done it too, where like you're binging it, and then once you catch up and read it weekly for a couple weeks, you're like, oh, I hate it now, and you assume it's because like the writing got worse, but really it's just because reading it weekly is a whole different beast, you know?
Oh yeah, it definitely is, and that's. I figure that's a little bit of what I have with like Undead Unlock, for example.
Yeah, that was the vibe I got.
That could be a little bit of the issue I had when I was reading My Hero Weekly. That could be a little bit of the issue I have with the last series, but like even the fandom's shitting on My Hero's pages.
Yeah, dude.
But like No, it definitely is that thing, and that is the burden of like binge versus weekly reading in general. It'll be a true test of like when I start reading Black Clover week to week instead of like waiting for the new year here and then just reading those last few chapters I need to read because I've just let a couple of them build up. Um, if I fall into that same trap there, because as of right now, I'm loving it. But down the road, who knows if I'll love the same pace
Mhm.
um, going forward there.
I think you just have to try to remind yourself while you're reading it weekly that these are parts of a whole. Like that's a lot of One Piece fans' fault. Like I've seen this with every fandom I've been a part of. Like people freak out about a thing at a certain week and say this is story ruining. I hate this, and then like cut to a month later and it's like actually it was a build up to this, which makes sense. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
So
it
just try to
definitely
keep
is.
that in mind when you're reading it.
But like the only other thing I really have to say with this is like the fact that they solely seem to rely on Twilight for this mission is beautiful because if you go back to the first couple
Oh
pages,
yeah.
the handler's like, we're not going to send the fodder in. Just
Yeah,
get
no,
ready.
that makes so much sense too, because like Red Hunter X Hunter reference of the day. uh, in Hunter X Hunter, they do a similar thing where like we can't send in all these people to all these hunters to the Chimera ant nest because if they're too weak, they'll just get eaten, and then that will increase the numbers of the ants. So like yeah, it's a situation like that where this is such a high ranking mission that like the more we send, like if we send anyone that's like less than his caliber and they get caught, that blows the whole thing. So that makes total sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I love that they just shot that right out right at the get go.
In
Like
case you are curious,
it's not that he's our only spy in this series, but he's our only spy that's worth a
where
goddamn.
tennis bitch at?
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm. Sticking her racket somewhere where it don't belong. Thinking about Lloyd.
More than likely.
Good, good, good. So yeah, it's weird to talk. Like, is this what a fucking Spike's Family chapter review is without Anya?
Right?
She's seeping. Ooh Lord, she's seeping.
Yeah, she went nappy booze, and you got one line of your dialogue there off panel, and that's about it.
I will say, okay, we got more to talk about. We got a little bit of his character type here. I will say, where
Yeah.
he talks about I'm trying to remember his wording of it. Like he doesn't really yeah. People will never truly be sympathetic with each other. So like he doesn't believe in like talking to people, understanding people. Maybe like I guess he just can't understand other like basically I think what they're setting up here is he's a guy who just like either through not wanting to or an inability to like he's just literally incapable of doing it. He just doesn't want to or cannot understand other people's opinions, which is very, very. We have a certain president like that.
No, just say it, Red.
Yeah, well, no, we said it enough, man. Now that I want to never say his name again once he's out of office.
I can respect that. I'm sure our comments will as well.
Rumpy Dumpy. By the way, Rumpy does have a dumpy. I don't know if you've seen his ass. Holy fuck! It's not a good ass.
No,
It's not sexy. It's just big.
it's a big McDonald's ass.
Yeah,
I
like
mean, you saw the feast.
I was showing my Trump supporting boss Trump's ass today. It was a very fun experience.
Oh boy,
I
I
was
bet it
like, sure,
was.
you like Trump, but have you seen his ass?
And what
Thank
was
you.
his response?
Thank you for attending my TED talk. Let's see here. But yeah, so what's your take on that? Like, just basically, I think what we're gonna learn from him. I don't know. I do hope that I will agree with you that I hope that there's a bit more complexity to his character other than just uh, politician man who is fearful of others. I mean, like if he ends up being like most politicians that go down this path of like warmongering, it's going to be that he's scared of different things. Like he's getting, it's going to be the classic "this is new and new things frighten me."
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can kind of vibe with the not liking other people and not wanting to see other people's opinions whatsoever. Because there was definitely a period in time where I was like that. Like,
mm,
it's a very easy path to go down, especially when you're around those similar-minded people. You become part of an echo chamber, like yes men.
true.
And once you succumb to that echo chamber of nothing but yes men, you just sit there and be like, everything counter to my opinion is scary. And that's why, controversial opinion, college can be a good thing. Because not, you break out of your bubble and you see other opinions besides that one that surrounded you, like
Hmm.
your upbringing. Like he just perfect example for me. I don't know if you experienced this, but where I grew up, like there were two classes: the completely dirt poor and cannot survive off of anything, including government assistance, to where they're living in like shacks. And then there is the other class of like, I am so goddamn rich that my trust fund has a trust fund. There
Hmm.
was no in between where I grew up.
Yeah, that ought to
So
radicalize a person.
exactly. So like I grew up because we moved to that area, somewhere in between those two, like wealthy middle class. So I was the culture shock, basically. Like there is an in between, but
Barely.
so like I had friends from both sides, and seeing like the struggling and also the people that have way too much is kind of what put me down the path I'm in today. But also, like, seeing those two sides fight constantly was the most disgusting fucking thing on the planet.
Oh yeah,
But
it's
because
very easy to think you're like, I don't know, it's so easy to think you're just right. Like you think you're so right that you don't even like consider other opinions, right? And I try, even like with my beliefs that I'm pretty confident in, every time I think about something, I try to consider the opposing belief just so I can remind myself that it's wrong, but like not just like it's wrong because it's opposite. Let me remind myself why it's wrong. You know what I mean? Um
right,
and like with this guy, I get the vibe that I don't know, like he's probably again. You're right. I mean, I do wish we got more. We're inferring here, but I get the vibe that he's probably upset about something. If I was to take a guess, because Twilight says you seek to control other nations with military force. He obviously is a controlling guy, probably very toxic. We've heard nothing of Desmond's mother, to my knowledge. Remind me if that's not the case. But so I get the vibe that maybe he drove away the mother through being a toxic fuck, or potentially even it could be extra dark. Maybe she like killed herself. Who knows? But like at the very least, I think
or he had her killed.
that's yeah, it could be that dark as well. It could be he had her killed because he couldn't control her. You know what I mean? Like there are people that want they don't want a relationship more as they want like a pet. You know, and I want you
Yep.
to stand there, look pretty, and make me dinner. You know what I mean? And like, I wonder if this guy
You
has kind of got
exist
that
for
vibe.
fucking
And
and feeding.
say again?
You exist for fucking and feeding.
Yeah, and so with him, that's the vibe I get. I think he's just a generally controlling person. It's interesting though because there is kind of a weird disconnect here because, and maybe this will go on to be a complexity with his character. He seems controlling, yet he's very distant with his children. And that if I was writing this and I was seeing these little hints, maybe that could be a little bit of self-awareness to make his character deeper. Like maybe he knows what he did to his wife and he's scared to open up or even get close to his kid because he doesn't want to be too controlling with him. So maybe like this is a weird coping mechanism. He's like going too far in the other direction now where he's like, I was so controlling with the wife and that fucking drove her to this or drove her to suicide or made her leave. So now I'm going to stay away from my kid as much as possible. Maybe something like that.
It's very possible. It'll be interesting to see, when we go down further here in the series, like where his character actually ends up. Because, whether I vibe with him completely or not, he is definitely one of the more complex characters of the series, Uh,
He's certainly interesting.
because you have like Hero, in Twilight. You have, somewhere in the middle with and you have like completely simp-ridden fucking idiot in Yuri, and you
Yeah.
have like small babu child in Anya, and then you also have like the fan favorites, with the doggo, Bond, and that's basically the whole cast is really overly established. But with the school kids, getting a little bit of development here recently, but really, what I would love, 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 like here a bit down the road is to see the at-home life of
Desmond and this
the
this
father.
guy. Yeah, and his father.
Yeah. And I would love to actually get more introduced to the school children because they really can be pretty cool fucking characters if we have more development.
Well, yeah, we got the Anya fashion show with that one friend of hers.
Yeah, we did, and I hope we get a little bit more too.
Remember, it may feel like we're not getting a lot, but it's not because like the chapters are wasting time. It's because there's so few chapters. You know what I mean? Like that Anya fashion show that couldn't have been more than like 3-4 chapters ago.
Which is absurd when you think about it.
Yeah. So yeah.
Like that'll be interesting when we continue down the series. In the next couple months, because let's face it, we might get like 4 more chapters in the next couple weeks, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so final thoughts from you, Red. Because there's not a whole lot left to talk about here. I feel like we're kind of dragging on for time at this point.
I mean, I do like I like how he clearly has a crush on Anya. And I'm not sure what level it's at yet. If it's just, typical Goral who shows interest in me, so I blush. Either way, I want to see them interact more. I think that's cute.
It is.
Let's see here. And also, I will say, I think that I can't tell if maybe he suspects Twilight a bit. I mean, he's probably a naturally cautious guy, but as he's leaving, he does give him like the squint eye.
Yeah, he did, and that's going to be cool to see in the next couple chapters, hopefully.
Yeah,
the level of sus.
Yeah, because he uses fucking Desmond's like. Desmond is the kid's name, right? I keep fucking double guessing myself.
Or just
Scion Boy.
Which is like the cutest little pet name.
Well, he uses his fucking presentation about it. It was almost like a two-bird, one-stone scenario. I think Twilight was trying his best to get the boy a compliment. But he's like, yeah, this kid's presentation was so good, I'm switching political affiliations. But so, yeah, I mean, he says he's really interesting, and he asks his name, and he says he enjoys it, so... I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how this comes back into play. Like, maybe there's a moment where they are asked, I don't know, but they're peasants, though. No, but I was going to say, maybe there's a moment where they're asking for, like, political donations, and they call the forgers or something.
He did say he was going to try and raise their class standing as well. So that will be interesting to see how he pulls that one off.
Yeah. Oh shit, that'll be interesting. Like, could be like, hey, I got a raise or a promotion at my job, and here, look at all this money, and it's just like money from the spy agency. It's like a fucking massive ass bag of like millions of dollars.
Yeah. Doubts.
You say that, but
no. The stupid shit that they've thrown money at just to get this mission moving, I can see
they
it.
probably have basically unlimited resources to this. I mean, it's pretty important. Like, I think that just, it'd be funny if, like, out of nowhere they're rich as fuck now. Now we're rich!
Now we're rich, honey. Look at me! But yeah, I just want more consistency so we can keep progressing the plot, because it does seem painstakingly slow.
I hate to break it to you. I don't think this series is about a plot. Like I'll be honest, it gives me Ass Class vibes where, like, there is an overall plot, but if they focused on the overall plot and that's it would be 3 chapters. Mm-hmm. Basically, like, beginning, middle, end. You know what I mean? Almost, or like a JoJo part. Like, with JoJo, it's like set up, and then you meet the villain once in the middle of the series, and then you fight the villain at the end. And everything else is literally just filler. Like I hate to break it to you, that's the kind of vibe I get for this series. I think it's going to be slice of life with a very loosely running plot thread through it, and I've accepted that fully, which is why I'm not disappointed every chapter.
Fair.
Yeah. So I think honestly, just read it and enjoy the adventures every week. Don't fucking I don't know. I would hate to see you get like stop liking this series because of the pacing.
Oh no, there's no chance of that one happening here. It's just like that's my one gripe. Is like
Right.
it seems like it's chapter 3 picture chapters chapter.
True. But yeah, no, I just again we've had this conversation a million times. So, but like all I can say is it just doesn't bother me. Like I have so much else going on in my life, so many other series to read, so many other things to do. Like there's no chapter this week. Okay, it's not like painstaking to me at all.
Oh yeah. Well, you also have come to terms with it, being a Hunter x Hunter fan.
Exactly. I would have thought you would have understood as being a Kingdom Hearts fan.
Don't get me started on Nomura. Don't get me started on Nomura.
You're telling me you don't have the patience to? Didn't you have to have the patience to play through all of Chains of Memories just to get some fucking delicious canon?
Oh, PTSD war flashbacks. Fuck Chain of Memories. Fuck Recoded.
Is 3 like canonically the last one?
No.
No, there's gonna be another one maybe.
There's already like it's the end of this saga.
Ooh.
They're continuing the plot
Exciting.
because Nomura is a fucking I don't know what, but just to put in perspective, like they released Melody of Memories this year, and the Most Hated World has its own fucking game because it is literally Atlantica, the goddamn game. Fuck you, Nomura, you goddamn asshole.
Wow. Amazing. Check out our new Mario game. Oops, all water levels.
And no. Here's the downside. You have to play through it to get the next story beat. That's how Nomura gets you. That's how he gets you. And with that, peace.
Peace.